The clerk stopped typing and slowly looked up at me like she had just seen a ghost. Her lips parted, but for a second no words came out. Then she whispered something that made my chest tighten instantly. She said that according to her system, I had died decades ago. I thought she was joking, or maybe I heard her wrong, but the look in her eyes told me this was not a mistake anyone laughs about. My name is Ethan Carter Miller. At least that is who I had always believed I was. I was sitting in a cramped government office, holding worn-out papers and hoping for medical assistance because life had finally cornered me. The buzzing lights above me felt louder than usual, and the room suddenly seemed too small. People around me kept waiting for their turn, unaware that my identity had just been erased with a few keystrokes. I leaned forward, trying to keep my voice steady, and told her there had to be some error. I had used that same number my entire adult life. Every job, every tax form, every official document carried it. She did not argue with me. Instead, she typed again, slower this time, her fingers hesitating like she was afraid of what she might confirm. Then her face changed completely. Confusion turned into fear, and that fear spread into the room like a silent warning. I was 32 years old, recently laid off, nearly broke, and sitting there trying to survive one more setback. Now I was being told I might not even exist. The weight of that realization hit me harder than losing my job or my savings ever did. Somewhere deep in my mind, an old memory stirred, one I had buried for years. The voice of my stepfather echoed again, reminding me I was never truly part of his family. When I was a kid, my mother married a man named Daniel Brooks. He never raised his hand against me, but he made sure I understood every single day that I did not belong. His daughter, Olivia, lived like a princess while I learned early what it meant to feel invisible. Birthdays passed quietly for me, while hers were full of laughter, gifts, and attention. I told myself I did not care, but the truth was it shaped everything I became. The day I turned 18, my bags were already packed by the door. Daniel did not even stand up when he told me it was time to leave. My mother stayed silent in the kitchen, unable or unwilling to defend me. I walked out carrying everything I owned, pretending I was strong enough not to look back. Only Olivia watched me leave, crying behind the window like she was losing something she could not explain. For years, I built my life from scratch. I worked hard jobs that left my hands rough and my body exhausted. I learned to depend on no one but myself. That independence became my pride, the one thing no one could take from me. But life has a way of testing even the strongest pride. When the mill shut down and my injury followed, everything I built started collapsing piece by piece. That is how I ended up in that office, asking for help for the first time in my life. The clerk picked up the phone, her hands shaking, and called someone. I could feel people watching me now. The room had shifted, and I was no longer just another man waiting in line. I was something else entirely, something uncertain and possibly dangerous in their eyes. She finally explained that the number I had been using belonged to a child who had died many years ago in an accident. The words did not make sense at first. I tried to correct her, telling her my father died when I was 6. I remembered the funeral, the sadness, the stories. But she quietly told me the dates did not match, and neither did the age. A man in a suit arrived shortly after, his presence immediately taking control of the situation. He studied me carefully, like he was looking at a puzzle that had finally started to make sense. When he spoke, his voice carried a seriousness that made my stomach drop. He told me I needed to prepare myself because everything I believed about my life might not be true. As I sat there, my thoughts began connecting pieces I had ignored for years. The lack of early memories, the inconsistencies in the stories I had been told, the way my mother avoided certain questions, it all started forming a picture I did not want to see. Then my phone buzzed with a message from someone claiming to be a federal agent. The message said my real family had been searching for me for decades. At that moment, the ground beneath my life completely gave way. I was no longer just a man struggling to survive. I was someone who might have been taken from another life entirely. The idea sounded impossible, but everything around me was proving otherwise. The man in the suit confirmed it shortly after. He explained that my identity matched a child who had died long ago, and that meant I had been living under a name that was never truly mine. I felt anger rising inside me, but it was mixed with confusion and something deeper, something I could not fully understand. When they told me my mother had been arrested for kidnapping, the final piece fell into place. The woman who raised me had built my entire life on a lie. Even Daniel, the man who pushed me away, had known the truth and chose silence instead. A few hours later, I found myself in a federal building, sitting across from an agent who laid out the truth of my past. My real name was Noah Hayes. I had been taken as a baby, and my parents had never stopped searching for me. Every year, every moment, they held on to the hope that I was still alive. When they finally walked into the room, everything inside me froze. The woman looked at me with a kind of love I had never experienced before. It was overwhelming, raw, and real. She reached out slowly, like she was afraid I might disappear. When she touched my face, I felt something shift deep inside me, something I did not even know was missing. I told them I did not remember them, and saying it hurt more than anything else. But they did not care. They just wanted me back. For the first time in my life, I felt what it meant to truly belong. Not because I earned it, not because I fought for it, but because it was always mine. Months later, I stood in a home filled with memories that should have been mine from the beginning. Photos covered the walls, stories filled every room, and for once, I was not an outsider. I was part of something real. The pain of the past did not disappear, but it no longer defined me. That day in the office, when I thought I had lost everything, was actually the moment I found the truth. I had spent my life believing I was no one's blood, but in reality, I had always been someone's everything. And they had been waiting my entire life just to say one thing to me: welcome home.